Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights Movie Review. Today we are going to be talking about Bottoms, and we had an out-of-theater review for this, and normally our next step would be to do a spoiler review. However, the movie opens wide this upcoming weekend, and so we thought, why spoil the movie for all the people who haven't seen it yet, and instead let's do a review so they can watch before the movie comes out.
Yes.
And you should go see this movie because I thought it was quite hilarious and well done.
It was very funny, yes. It is directed by Emma Seligman.
Yes, it is. And I saw a great thing. I was talking to our friend Brandon, who works on some films for us, who saw the movie, loved it as well. And he said something that really stuck with me as like, yes, that exactly nails how I feel about the movie. And he said, typically when you see gay characters in a movie, it's a mundane world and they are very zany characters. But in this film, they are very like average characters in a very zany, crazy world. And they flip it. And that's why I think the metaphor of the movie drives home insanely well, is because of that reason. You know, you have this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. You have the principal going on the intercom saying, will the ugly, untalented gays please come into the principal's office? Hilarious. Like, and the whole world is like that. And it establishes it right away what type of world it is. You know, the head quarterback being very bitchy and whiny. Like, it's amazing. It is an amazing world that it sets up. I thought every performance in the film was strong. I didn't think there was a weak link in the bunch. I thought that the overall story structure was well done. My only real complaint with the film is I think it does lose steam a bit in its second act, particularly because the first act of the movie is so firing on all cylinders hilarious. Like the first 45 minutes of the movie, you almost can't breathe because you're just laughing so hard at everything that's happening. But yeah, give me some of your thoughts, because I thoroughly love the movie except for just some minor missteps in the middle. Yeah,
I don't think I loved it as much as you did, but I did thoroughly enjoy the movie. To me, I think I kind of put it with my same level of enjoyment as Joyride that came out earlier this year.
Okay.
I think pros for the movie, hysterically funny, like you said, nonstop, like just laughing. The jokes, I would say, land more than they miss. The absurdism of the world is very fun and different and kind of off-putting, but I also feel like sometimes that's to its detriment.
Okay.
Where in some of the scenes and everything, the absurdism of it didn't seem to be benefiting or furthering anything. It was just like there to be there.
I apologize for any dog barking you may hear at this time.
And I think that at times just felt a little overwhelming. And I think the flow of the movie for a bit there just kind of felt like bit, and that instead of having like the through line.
And that's kind of my problems with the second act of the movie come into play as well.
And not to say the bits aren't funny, because they are, but it just kind of felt like you were watching small little soliloquies almost. And I think that also something for me that I kind of just thought about more too was the two main characters. We really don't get to know a lot about them.
Okay.
And I did feel like a slight connection to them, like watching it. Like I was rooting for, like, you know, Edebiri's character. I know that Rachel Sennot's character isn't necessarily supposed to be likable. They're both, I don't think, trying to be likable, but I think the heart of the movie is Edebiri's character. But I feel like I didn't really get motivation, wants, backstory on to them, which I think is kind of what was missing. Whereas like with Joyride, I felt the emotional connections to each of those characters. Like I knew kind of their motivations to everything, whereas this one was just hook up with cheerleaders.
And where that worked for me, because I completely see what you're saying, where that worked for me is this kind of being a play on the American Pie movies of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Superbad.
It's that plot, but flipped on its head, both in the world and in the characters. And but what this movie also does, that movie like an American Pie does, because people forget, like, American Pie, yes, it has like the bros trying to get laid, the whole movie thing, but that movie's ending is really profound. Spoilers for American Pie, this movie from 30 years ago, if you haven't seen it.
I wonder if that's a sentence that's ever been said.
No, the ending of American Pie is really profound, because the whole movie is about them trying to go have sex before they go to college. When they're all at the end talking to each other, this is the time to brag. They ask him if he did it, and he says no. because he like learns like the respect and the value of like, you know, you shouldn't do things like that. Like it's a really profound arc in that movie. But when you look at the trailers and the marketing of that movie, you know, that's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking of like, oh, you know, there's a pop punk band in here, and, you know, oh, the foreign exchange student on the laptop. You know, that's what you're thinking of. But this movie kind of does the same thing in the reverse of that. Is kind of, you're with the characters right away because it's this new setup, because it's this flipped reversal of this thing you typically see. But then throughout the movie, it reminds you that like, hey, just because it's the other way doesn't mean that what they're doing is necessarily correct and right. And, you know, it's kind of about, you know, female and girl friends who can be all empowering or all destructive, and you see that occur throughout the film. And, you know, the way it ties in together at the very end with the guys, the third act of this movie is fucking crazy, and it's insane in the best possible way. And the way that all comes together at the end, I thought tied that story home nicely.
I think it just, to me, it didn't reinvent the wheel on a lot of things. It just kind of put things in a new light. Yeah. Like with that, like you kind of still have the basic tropes of every high school type movie. Yeah. And, you know, like you have a very kind of like Mean Girly sort of thing with like Marshawn Lynch's Tina Fey's teacher. Like the same kind of concept of like.
Marshawn Lynch, by the way, is fantastic.
Like, Marshawn Lynch is hysterical in it. Well, then you have like the lack of tropes. Like I was really surprised there wasn't like a party scene in the movie, because I was like, that seems like high school. But there's the big football game. Like that whole third act set piece was fantastic. And the tropes thing, that's really going to come down to kind of personal preference and taste, because I know people think differently about this. I'm of the mind that like movies don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel. They just have to make sure the wheel runs well. And I think this movie makes the wheel run well, except that's hard to say. But I think it makes it, you know, the car will not wreck from the wheels. So, the wheels are doing their job, and they're doing it well.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, yeah, I guess I did enjoy the movie. It was just little things that I think, because I haven't seen it, but I've heard and read reviews of the director's previous movie, which also stars Rachel Sennott, called Shiva Baby.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I have not either, but I was listening to some reviews on the way over here, just like prep and everything, and it seems like it's a very kind of more character-focused comedy. And so I thought it was interesting for her to go a little more broad, general with the characters, especially if your movie that got you big was really focused on a central character and their arcs and everything.
Yeah. And I gotta say, with this movie included, what a year for R-rated comedies.
Yes.
It's been fantastic. I haven't seen Strays yet, but...
I haven't seen Strays.
But this, Joyride, and No Hard Feelings, I thought were all solid. All solid comedies.
Yeah, I think I put No Hard Feelings a little bit below these two, but I think for me, Bottoms and Joyride are pretty close. Yeah. I think overall, I would give the edge to Bottoms. But I did really enjoy Joyride.
Yeah, and I think the only big difference between the two in terms of just purely laughs is I thought Joyride took a second to get funny, but once it started being funny, it never stopped. Yeah. This one was out the gate hilarious, and then it lulled, but then it brought it back.
I think the ensemble of Joyride, of the four main characters and their chemistry, was really good. Now, that being said, Rachel Sennott and Edebiri are...
Oh, they were
hysterical
great
in it, and they are great together, and I want them to be... Apparently, they were college roommates.
Oh, really?
I found that out.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
And Edebiri's having... I mean, I'm on the Bottoms LetterBoxd page, and there's an ad for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which she is in. You're seeing her everywhere, and rightfully so, because she's very good.
Yeah, I still need to watch The Bear. I know.
The Bear's fantastic.
I know. I got to get on it. But that's our review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go out and watch Bottoms and enjoy that movie as well. It was a lot of fun. It was a great time, and I might even go see it again.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
It was very entertaining.
Yeah. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.